Hello, everybody. This is the Anime Bro here, and welcome to the very first episode of New to Anime. Now, this show would basically be about me showing somebody a show that is very popular or that I like to someone who really doesn't watch anime. And my very first guest today with me is my mother. You want to say hello?
Hello there.
And today I showed my mom the first 3 episodes of Code Geass, and yeah, basically I'm just here to talk about her thoughts on the show. So we'll first get into the first category that I want to talk about. So far, how are you liking the story in the show?
I actually find it really interesting just because it's an alternative history, like our Earth history. It's an alternative to what actually happened. And
Mm.
so I always think those are very interesting because, sometimes I do wonder what would have happened if, someone else had won a certain war. How different would my life be now? Would we have any advances that we don't have technology right now, or would we still be behind
Yeah,
in technology? That type of
yeah,
thing. So that part of it I thought was really, really interesting. And you get smacked into it straight away. You don't get a backstory really. You just get a little bit of history.
yeah.
So I actually like that though.
Okay. I wouldn't really think of it as like an alternative to history. Maybe like a little bit ahead in history.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Because all the futuristic stuff that they have, and
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, I could see that point because yeah, even the date was more of, our time,
Yeah,
not like all the way back, 70 years ago.
yeah. Another thing, was there any like so far in the show, is there anything that like you were interested in, like some stuff that was really interesting to you throughout when the story was going, even though.
Yeah, well, I like how it had like this looks like it's an empire. And so trying to learn about who the characters are, how they connected to this, empire and the family connections, if any, and what else did I find? Yeah, I think that's one of the main things, just trying to figure out who everyone was
Mm,
and if and how they're connected to each other.
oh, that's cool. So you enjoy like the connections that everyone has. Like this person wasn't just there because he was there. He had
Yeah.
a role. All right, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I understand. I understand that. When I was watching it, I kind of did find that interesting. All right, so that's basically the story part. Okay, let's get into some characters. So was there any characters while watching that you were kind of interested in, or that you were thinking about?
Um, yeah, I think there are two characters. Um, Lelouch.
What's wrong? Why not shoot? Your opponent is just a schoolboy. Or have you finally realized? The only ones who should kill are those who are prepared to be killed.
I don't remember if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, yeah. So the main character, Lelouch.
Um, yeah, he's like straight away just trying to figure out who is this person and how are they in this situation. And I actually like watching entertainment, so TV movies,
Hmm.
where I have to kind of put the puzzle pieces together to try and figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So I like, psychological part of it, I guess. But I also like Suzaku.
ルルーシュ僕だよスザクだお前ブリタニアの軍人になったのか
Oh, oh, his friend, his childhood friend.
Yeah. And because it's sort of like, okay, how are these two going to interact with each other through the entire story?
Hmm.
You know,
Oh,
will they be on the same side? Will they be on opposite sides? Like, what's going on here?
yeah. That's really that's interesting. Yeah. Throughout the show, yeah, that's basically like I think the main two characters because their rivalry is a really cool part of the story, because throughout the story, the two are on two different sides. One of them wants to take down the Empire through through a rebellion, while the other one wants to change it through like earning his rank up to going through in the inside instead of trying to.
Right.
He wants to do a more peaceful
Getting-
approach, which does.
Getting through,
I'm sorry.
gaining more power and authority, kind of thing.
Yeah.
From within.
Yeah, it's just I like that about that too, and it also gives you like it makes you think like which one is really right. Do you change a corrupt empire through the inside and try to become one with it, or should you rebel and try to take over by force? And
yeah, that is interesting.
And it really is interesting when you follow through the lives of them two throughout the series.
Yeah, because I think if we, kind of think of it in our world, and my opinion is, depending on the situation, why one might be needed, whereas the other one won't work.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the way you're really going to change things is from within, and then sometimes the only way things are ever going to change is by everyone getting together and fighting a revolution.
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So, because you've seen a lot of shows and whatnot, what would you say is like some kind of show that is like this show that comes to your mind?
So I like a lot of sci-fi, and I like some historical stuff. It just depends on, how that's written. But as far as science fiction, I really am a big fan of that.
Okay.
And it's kind of hard to think of like one in particular, just because I've only watched 3 episodes,
Yeah.
and so it's nothing jumped out immediately what would be like. But from a science fiction point, I would say it's fairly similar to Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, that's
Because
cool.
you have like an obvious oppressed sort of group, and then you have the for power. I'm trying to think of, I can't think of any others, but that's the one that sort of jumped out pretty quickly. Whereas, because with Battlestar Galactica, you have the Cylons, which are, the androids, I guess, but they're machines that have developed a conscience. And then you have humans, flesh and blood humans.
Yeah.
And, there is a point where the Cylons recognize and realize that they don't need to be under the power
Of humans.
of the humans. And so they actually do they do aspects of both, where they do a physical front at first, but then they come back and it's more of a from inside.
All right.
Because they're able to develop a technology to mimic humans.
All right. That seems really interesting. Yeah, I asked you this because as a person who doesn't usually watch that many TV shows or science fiction shows, I wouldn't know. But to you, because you watched a lot of these shows, it might help get someone into watching this show because it's related to something that you've enjoyed and watched.
Yeah, to make a connection. Yeah,
yeah.
Sure.
And so, and I don't know much about the Battlestar Galactica story, but I do know that's a really popular show, or was. I don't know if it's still airing.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on air almost 20 years ago, and that's not counting the original that came out in the 80s. I'm talking about the one that was on TV in the early 2000s. But yeah, that's going way back.
Yeah.
Probably too far back for some of your audience.
Yeah, well, and also interesting is this actually came out late 2000s, so it's and it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this is.
Well, and that's what I wonder. Like, what is this story? What was it inspired by? Like, is there a connection
Well,
to some other stories or?
as an anime fan, I know that if you want to actually compare this, I would actually compare it to Death Note. Like its structure and whatnot is very similar and on par to Death Note. And yeah, that's basically what I would think about it. I don't want to spoil too much into it because I would have to go deep into the story, but yeah,
Right.
it's similar to Death Note.
Do you happen to know how many seasons there are? Episodes?
There are 2, I think 12 each episode. I mean 12 each seasons.
So it's not too bad.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. And
especially for someone who's new to it, and the episodes are only like 22, 23 minutes long.
Yeah, I'm not spoiling anything, but when people compare it to like great endings to anime, they say Code Geass has the best. So far, nothing comes compared to it. And when I first watched it, I wasn't sure, like, maybe they're just saying this. But then eventually, when I did watch it, I was like, I actually kind of see where it points, and it's not like, oh, this just randomly happened. It was like, this kind of led to this, like, through the story, it led to this moment, and yeah, it was just really interesting.
So did you think it was really good storytelling, like the connection?
Well, so
from the beginning to the end?
So with season 1, it was, but then during season 2, there was a little bit of. So basically, how to describe it? It was like it was driving smoothly, and then it was driving crazy, like it was going fast, it was drifting and whatnot, but it somehow parked really well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically. All right, and I guess we'll get to the final section part, and that is, would you watch this? Would you continue watching this on your own, like in your free time?
I think I would. I would. It was really interesting. I felt connected and entertained, and I wanted to know what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Wanting more. But yeah, I thought it was initially in the beginning, first episode, it was a bit like, okay, what's going on? I have to try and figure out what's going on. But I think that's with any kind of show, any kind of movie. Sometimes that's how it is started off. You're sort of thrown in and you're given more detail as the story progresses, and then you start to realize, okay, so all right, I see where this is going, and there is an actual connection. It's not just sort of all over the place.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would continue watching this.
All right, well, maybe in the far future you can help me do a review on the show.
Yeah, I could probably do that. Yeah, be exciting to see what happens.
Yep, that would be great. Well, I guess this is the end of the episode. Well, thank you for being here, Mom. It was really enjoyable talking to you.
Thanks for having me, anime bro. Did I say that right?
Yes. Yes, you said it perfectly. Well,
thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun watching the episodes, and I think this is a really good one that you introduced.
Yeah. Well, I like that you enjoyed it, and also everybody who is watching this, thank you watching to the very end. If you really did enjoy all of it, comment down below what you liked, and share it with other people, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.
Throw in some suggestions.
Yeah. Peace.